So, all right. So you and I talked a little while ago, Nico, about some new DNS observability in the distributed cloud, and my understanding is you have a demo to show the community.
Yeah, absolutely. So I forgot when we had this discussion, Brett, I think it was like maybe 18 months ago. And yeah, it's been a long time. It feels like ages, and it is. And then back then we just released DNS and DNSLB in XC, and that was a migration from cloud services. And just to set, kind of a reminder for folks watching, initially we had like, basic features, which was exactly the same as what we had back in the days in cloud services. And obviously there were a lot of features that we were missing, so we added them. But one of the main features that folks were asking is, I want to see what's happening, in my DNS. So I want to see, dashboards, requests, how many NX domains I have, these type of things. And that's exactly what we did, actually the end of last year, respectively in November and December. And now we have like proper DNS dashboards and DNS requests in the XE console. So that's what I wanted to show today.
Well, I got to tell you, as a former DNS admin, right, I used to hate things like request logging and such. So anything to make the admin's lives easier. So we're taking a look at the distributed cloud console here.
Yeah, absolutely. So go into DNS management, and then I would go straight into a list of DNS zones, which I'm currently dealing with. So as you can see, I have like a small amount of zones I'm dealing with, and this we call it a tenant in XE, and this one is mostly used for testing. One of the things you can see, I mentioned different improvement we've done since we talked some months ago, and now you have options to import DNS zones, which is pretty cool. Having said that, so I have this zone, carton2.eu.org, which is delegated to XE, and have like, a very basic script, which is firing up a bunch of DNS requests using dig. It's doing it from my local machine, which is a Mac, and also from a VM, which is running here in Amsterdam, in Europe. The goal being to also show you that we have geolocation displayed as well as part of the dashboard and the request. So if I go to the performance section, you will get a list of, the different zones that you are dealing with. And obviously, I picked that one because it's, one of the first I have in the list, but you can, of course, search for a specific zone if needs be. In my case, I'm going to go there. And the first thing you're going to notice is, you have this nice dashboard. And again, we started with something fairly basic. If we have time at the end, I will just explain high level the things that we are working on and we bring to distributed cloud in the next months. But we have like, the traffic distribution, which will show you exactly how many requests you got. So in that case, I'm showing the request for the last hour. And if I want to refresh, then obviously this number is going to go higher. I have, a bunch of requests coming from the US. And if you go there, since I have slightly less requests coming from Netherlands. So that's the first thing. And then, as you can see on the right hand side, you have the top request, hitting the specific zone. And if you scroll down, you have like a distribution of queries over time. And of course, as with any dashboard in distributed cloud, you can zoom in if you want. So if I want to go there specifically, I'm going to zoom in and, see, okay, what's happening. And, now for me, it's like 10:46 p.m. So you can see that I'm actually, having those requests coming in here. And as I, go down, of course, my return code or my DNS query rate will also be shown depending on the zoom in that I just did. And last but not least, you also have the query type, which shows you a breakdown of, in that case, quad A, TXT, and an MX. So again, nothing unusual, but something that customers are used to. Yeah.
I have a question on that, actually. I'm thinking, of course, from my past, I used to be in service provider, and I know some of my mind when looking at the distributed cloud went to mobility. So are there restrictions on query types that are going to be visible here? I know that my service provider customers would love to see things like NAPTR requests.
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So we actually added, and that's one of the things that we added in the past months. We started with the same RR types or resource record types as the one that we had in cloud services. So the list was, let's say, the most used ones. What we've done is actually adding a lot more resource record types, and NAPTR is part of those. I can switch quickly to my zone just to show you. If I go there and actually edit this zone and manage its configuration, if I go there and edit the configuration, and then let's say I want to add a new record. This list here, the record set type, used to be very short. I think we were stopping at DNS load balancer, so we had this roughly 10 resource record types that we were supporting. And now, if I scroll down, you can see that we added NPTR, DS, SSHFP, TLSA, so a bunch of records which people are basically expecting from any DNS provider.
I love it. Great, thank
you.
And
of course, you do that, and if someone is asking, is requesting, let's say, an NPTR, then it's going to appear in the dashboard I should show you.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, so let's go back here. So, I mean, again, you get the idea, right? So, it's really like a high level view of what's happening. And we added this back in, I believe, November of 2023. What we've done, last month in December is adding requests, which is yet another feature which a lot of customers were, I wouldn't say begging us to add, but you get the idea. That was something which really they wanted us to basically provide to them. And what you can see here on that screen, apart from nice colors, I should take a screenshot of that one, because usually when I do a demo, it's always one color, and which makes it a bit boring. This one is actually pretty nice. You have a bunch of different record types, and the color looks nice. But yeah, in a nutshell, again, you can select from I'm still on the same time window from 10:11 p.m. to 10:31, which I selected in the other screen. And then, if you go there, you will see exactly how many of each return code you're going to have. So in that case, I have mostly no error, but also have a few self-read and X domains. And then, of course, I could zoom in again if I want. And then here you would see more the request log by themselves. So, which kind of course, the time and date, record type, and then what was requested record, what did we return, and most of the time in that case it's going to be no error, and most importantly with the client. In that case it's an IPv6 client, as you can see, but I also have those ones are coming from the Netherlands, so that's the VM, the OpenBSD VM I was talking about before, and then there's my home connection, which is coming from France, right? And as with any logs in XE, you can also get a JSON. So we're just showing you like a human readable version by default. But if you want to see a JSON, you can do it as well. And of course, you can also download the CSV if you want. We have customers, who like to keep things. Knowing that, and I'm going to transition a bit to the things that we are working on. We have these features which I think we discussed in the past already, or maybe it was with Blue, I forgot. But we had this global log receiver which we added a while ago. I think the first version was in July 22. And today it's mostly dealing with WAP logs, HTTP load balancers, and things like this. We are adding global log receiver capabilities for DNS and CDN. So meaning that soon, not only will you have those requests that you can see in the console, but you'll also be able to stream those requests to your, CM, a Datadog, a Splunk, an S3 receiver, an AWS, and basically all of the targets that we support, because now we have, I think, around 12 targets that we support in terms of CM. So you'll be able to send those DNS requests to your CM, because, DNS requests contain a lot of useful information. And we have a lot of customers who like being able to, store those requests, because of course, the amount of time that we store those requests in XC is not. I mean, we do store a fair amount of logs in XC, but it's not going to be like 5 years of request logs, right? So if customers want to store, let's say, X years of logs, then our recommendation would be to leverage Global Log Receiver.
I have to say I'm a real fan of the JSON log standard too. That's something that, again, my service provider customers were very much about that for DNS specifically. So
yeah, it's I mean, I call it, the new, the always more legacy stuff, whereas this one is, it's a lot more modern, and it takes some time. I have the same discussion with F5 colleagues and sometimes customers asking for, hey, I want, to be able to send to a syslog, right? And when I ask the question whether they're also, using a CM, and most of the time, or even, all of the time, 99% of the time, they would tell me, yes, I'm using Splunk or Datadog or whatever. And in that case, I'm telling them, hey, it makes a lot more sense, to do it this way. In that case, because, syslog is most of the time unencrypted, whereas, GLR, Global Log Receiver, is going to leverage HTTPS. So we send over HTTPS, it's encrypted. You can even restrict the IP addresses that are going to talk to your Splunk, because we do publish the IP addresses that we use for GLR. So yeah, that's also something that I prefer over syslog or, more legacy systems.
Yeah, I got to say, having used UDP, syslog, NG for years and years, that the loss in a high performance environment is through the roof. So yeah, bravo.
No, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, again, I can spend a bit more time, but, I think folks here have seen the how logs are working across XC, and, the UI is pretty obvious. So you can, display, change the number of items you want to have per page. You can filter, you can say, hey, I don't want, my no error stuff. I'm okay. I want to focus on, let's say, I have self-fail. I only want to display those guys, right? And in that case, we're just going to show that. And of course, you can zoom in and just have those records displayed, right? And you can hide filters and charts. You can, refresh if you want, or if you, let's say, I want to come back in time. Let's say I want to maybe do it like last week, just to do it this way. And then I'm not sure I had like any request last week, I'll be honest. Yeah, maybe no error would do. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, you get the idea, right? It's yeah, not even sure what this is. Some test probably. Yeah. Anyway, you see, that's a good example of things. This zone is purely a test zone, and still I'm getting. I would need to dive into, okay, what is this IP coming from Ireland? So yeah, I would need to see, but yeah, that's not a big deal.
Really cool. Well, I love it. I think this is definitely valuable information. Anything you want to add to this, Griff? I mean,
I think it's just really impressive of the level of granularity that people will be able to use when they want to dig into what's happening on their network, how things are performing, so they can tune up, they can adjust, they can harden security if they need to, or they can respond more quickly to demand changes, or as Nico is showing, they can filter out certain query types, which the more control and the more information you can give to people, the better they can deliver the applications they need to, and really deliver value for the people they're serving. So I mean, I'm coming from somewhat of a non-technical background. I love how intuitive this dashboard is to use, and just how plainly all the information is there. And I really hope the customers can find that value as well.